Good evening and welcome to our school committee meeting on this Wednesday, September 4th, 2019. It is 7 p.m. I'd like to call our meeting to order. I'll remind you that we are being broadcast live as well as being recorded for future rebroadcast. Right now, could we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time,
so we have the student rep set up.
Student rep
for next week, for the next meeting, and we have it all booked out for the rest of the year. So,
wow.
So we're all set. So as long as both gentlemen remember, we're good.
We're lined up.
Starting
Okay.
on the 18th. You did. I saw that.
So no student rep this evening. Public comment and communication. I don't see anybody here from the public, so we're going to skip over that. Any old business we would like to cover? Any new business we would like to cover not in the agenda?
Could I jump in real quick?
Sure.
Towards the very end of the summer, every year we have the fitness room equipment assessed and repaired as necessary. Unfortunately, we have 2 treadmills and 2 ellipticals that are at this time been declared no longer usable. So we will have to remove the treadmills and the ellipticals and try to come up with a plan to replace them. They are they've been there for 15 years, and each year they get repaired, but they get a lot of use. And at this point, there's not much they can do to it to repair them. So I just want to let the committee know that we have that issue has just surfaced without much of a solution in mind right now.
Okay.
So.
May I just chime in and just ask that we do replace them as soon as possible, especially since kids are not exercising as much anymore
That would be great. We're just waiting for someone to walk through the door with a check for about $18,000 and we can get them.
Is that what the estimated cost is for the 4 of them?
Yeah, it's about that.
They probably cost about $7,000 for the 4 of them. I'm guessing 15 years ago.
Yeah, well, yeah, probably. Yeah. They get used all the time. They get a lot of life out of them, and so we got our money's worth out of them.
Okay.
But we do need to get them replaced, and so that's something that we'll have to bring back and discuss, because I agree with you, they need to be in there.
Even if they can be leased or something. I don't know if they lease stuff like that.
So, but that came up towards the very end of the summer, and it was never broached before. I wanted to get it out there so you'd be aware.
Log that under new business. Thank you. And with that, we'll turn it back over to you for our superintendent's report.
All right, very good. So the crux of the superintendent's report is based on the opening day, and what I'm going to ask is that when the principal's going to speak to it, that they include enrollment numbers and any new hires for their building all at one time, rather than taking them as 3 separate entities. Sure. And so rather than trying to get 5 people up there at one time, if we could ask Mr. Bell and Mrs. Sosha to come up and join us to start with the younger folks in the building. And they're going to be sharing, as I said, an update on the start of the school year, as well as their enrollment information and as well as new hires. But before we go too far, before they get started, I just want to remind everybody, and as those who are watching at home, that when we talk about new hires, please understand that they are not all new people. They are replacing people who resigned, retired, did not return. I don't want the town to get the impression that we've hired all these new people, because there are a lot of replacements. The only new teachers that we did bring on board, as you know, was because of the kindergarten numbers. Your gracious courtesy to extend the STEM teaching position at the middle school, and then last year we hired 2 adjustment counselors. So those are really the only positions that have been hired over the years, and it doesn't even bring us anywhere close to all the positions that we cut over the years. And please be reminded also that when we hired a couple of special education teachers, that we eliminated a number of para positions to offset that, to go with the model, the collaborative instructional model. So I just don't want the community to think that we've been talking about all these new hires and we're just bringing them in fast and furious. They're replacing a lot of people, and those are the additional positions that we have hired. So thank you very much. I'm sorry, I'll turn it over to you guys.
You should start. I started last year.
You did.
All right, so welcome, and I have a little gift from the primary school for the school committee, so if you pass those down.
Nice.
I should have gone first.
Money works, it's fine, cash.
So we were happy to return to school with cooler temperatures this
Yes.
year. That was wonderful. We opened with the building looking amazing with the shiny floors and some new paint in certain rooms. So shout out to our custodian, Kevin Luco, because he had to do a lot of moves to make room for the additional classrooms, the preschool room and the kindergarten. So that was nice. The teachers came in really excited and enthusiastic. The kids were adorable as usual with their, new school outfits on and all smiles and waiting to see who's in their class and who the teachers were. We had a total of 251 students, 61 in preschool, 98 in kindergarten with a class size of 19 to 20, 92 in first grade, so we have 23 as a class size. We have 14 teachers, 15 paras, ABAs. And our new hires were a school nurse, replacing someone who retired, my kindergarten teacher, which was a new position, a kindergarten teacher, which replaced someone who retired, and a special ed teacher who replaced someone who moved over. So we have quite a few new faces at the primary school. And I'd just like to let everyone know that we have open house and we have a book fair the same night at the primary school on Tuesday, September 10th from 5:30 to 7.
Great.
Everything else is good. We're all good. First day, we showed everyone their way into the rooms, and the second day we said, do you need help? And they said, nope, we got it.
Uh-huh.
So they own it.
That's good.
It was
Again,
good.
The benefits of the pre-K program where they're already in the building.
They've already,
they're
yes,
different.
they already know.
Right.
So everything's been good. Only a few tears, but that was mostly 3-year-olds, so that's
Yeah.
to be expected.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right, at the elementary school, we also have had a great start to the beginning of the year. Lots of happy staff and happy students. I would say that this is probably the smoothest start to a school year I've ever been a part of, which is it's much calmer than last year when I didn't know what I was doing due to Douglas. And so it's been great. Enrollment-wise, we have 363 students, which is similar to what we started last year with. We actually have 22 new students to the district, which was a large increase. We actually ended the year a little bit lower, and also our second grade group coming up was smaller than what we've had, but the number of new students has been a lot. We had 10 in third grade and 8 in fifth grade, so those were some significant jumps in those two grades. Second grade has 79 students, so it's our smallest group by far, and in third grade and fourth grade both have 96, and fifth grade has 92. We had already closed third and fourth grade for school choice because they were large to begin with, but fifth grade now is above a number that we probably at the next meeting will ask to close fifth grade if the committee is open to that, just because we don't want to get our class sizes too big. Right now our class sizes, our smallest class size is 19 students in a class and our largest is 25. So I would say those are pretty normal numbers. We don't want to get much bigger than 25, but they're pretty safe right now. We've had lots of new hires. I think at the last meeting we introduced a lot of them, but some hires since the last meeting. Tamara Robinson is an inclusion paraprofessional, and then we also have Logan Barrick, who is a flex paraprofessional that we've added on to replace some people that have left and shifted around. This year we're excited about some new schedules that we have. Cindy and I have worked a lot over the last 6 months with our teachers and with Mr. Maines to get some new schedules with the DTA. But one of the exciting things that we've gotten out of that is common planning time, which just started yesterday was our first day with the new format for common planning time, but we've increased that so that teachers have more time to collaborate together at a less disruptive time. It's at 8 to 8:30 when kids are just coming in the door rather than getting subs and doing it in the middle of the day during core instruction time. So we're very excited about that. Yesterday we had our first PTO meeting. Tomorrow we have our first community meeting. And also tomorrow our counselor, Ms. Blessing, Mr. Aronian, and myself are going to do classroom visits and talk about code of conduct, but also just make sure students know who we are, what we do around the building, those types of things. And then next week we have open house on Tuesday and our first faculty meeting on Monday. So we're excited about lots of beginning of the year first things, but just getting into the swing of things.
That's great. Thank you.
Could I add just two things? One would be that if we could remind the parents of the primary and the elementary school that parking isn't wherever you would like to park, that there is a parking lot at the bottom of the hill because the middle school will not have open house that night, so they could use the lower parking lot for parking. as the staffs will be in each of those two buildings, so therefore it's going to get a little bit crowded. So if they could just use the lower parking lot, the skate park parking lot as well, that would be very helpful. I know it's a little bit of a walk, but
It's good for you.
good for them. So, and then the other thing was that, as John mentioned, grade 5, we would need to get it on the docket, but when looking at the numbers and talking about it today at the admin meeting, it really thinks that at this point we would want to shut that down, but we can formally bring that back for a vote in 2 weeks. But at this point, I would say at the number that he's at, if we can hold the line for the next couple of weeks, we should hold the line and not take it anymore.
Is
I
there
just
any
don't know-
reason we couldn't make a motion this evening?
Well, we didn't get it on the docket in time, so, I mean,
We have enrollments on the docket. You know,
that's true.
Let's think
but-
about it. Okay.
Just something, I mean, I think if we're adding a few more people, now you're at 26
Yep.
and so forth. So, you know, I think that's really a pretty high number as it is right now. If we could hold the line, that would be great. That's our intention, just so the committee is aware, in case you get any angry phone calls, because I just think that we,
Yep. No, understood.
Good.
Any other questions, comments?
thanks, John. Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So at this time, we would ask Mr. Romano, Mr. Delaney, Mrs. Urquhart. Mrs. Urquhart will referee. To share with us how their buildings and departments have done opening up the school year.
Ladies first.
You sure?
Please.
You don't want to go in order? All right. Okay, I'm not texting, I'm just referring to the notes on my phone. Okay, so we are starting the school year as of today with 262 special education students. We currently have 89 students on Section 504 plans. We have a plethora of new special education staff members, whether they be teachers or ABA or paraprofessionals. Very, very dedicated and talented staff this year. Very proud of all of them, very happy to have them on board. Very, very strong year for special education and student support.
Great.
Our programs continue to thrive. We continue to have the Flex Center program across the district at all the schools. We have the STARS program at the middle school and at the high school, which is for students who have more intensive special needs, as well as the STRIPES program, that's for our students who are 18 to 22. And then we have our academic center at the elementary school and the middle school, and that's for students who have learning disabilities, who they do have some inclusion services, but they require some substantially separate, more modified curriculum. DPAC, I cannot urge families enough to go to the DPAC meetings. It's a support, it allows for a support for families to support each other. It allows for information. Laura and I actually will be presenting on October 16th. We'll be presenting an IEP training for families. So please, if you can, get out there on October 16th. We'd love to have you. Something that we need to talk about on an annual basis is the concept of child find. It's a little bit of a confusing concept. I do have a letter that I generate on an annual basis and is up on the walls at each school. Child find is the concept of making sure that students or children within any town have access to a free, appropriate public education. So if you know of a student that for some reason is not enrolled in school, or a child that may have special education needs and it hasn't come to the attention of the school or our department, as well as kids who are homeless, please let the Office of Student Support and or the district know about this. We continue to have our Best Buddies program at the middle school as well as the high school, and what this is going to translate into is very structured unified sports program. Mr. Romano and I are working on that this year. We're going to start in the fall. We're going to have a basketball. We don't know if it's going to be a game or a couple of games. We're going to figure that out, but we're working with the other districts to get there. And then in the winter, we're going to have a sport as well as in the spring. And this is something that, you know, is acknowledged by, it's the
MIAA.
MIAA. it's something that we've really been working on over the last year, and we're finally there. So this is a very exciting thing for us. Did receive notification that we are up for our mid-cycle review next year, which is very interesting because we just had our audit, it feels like. So we are a part of the 2021 cohort. I always embrace this time because it really allows us to reflect and look at our practice and really see how we can get better. And we always want to get
That'll start
better.
in the spring or
So what's going to happen is there's a training that I'll be attending on December 16th, and that's basically an initial training to just let us know where we need to go. And then from there will be probably a series of trainings, and then the spring things will start up. So they're really going to be looking at this school year, so it's very important that we're very tight in our process and with our programs, and we're doing everything correctly, because we need to maintain our zero findings
Sounds like
status.
well on your way to that right
Yes, that is the hope.
now. Yeah.
The only other announcement is tea night out for Friday night has been canceled due to the threat of Triple E. We were supposed to go to Southwick Zoo, and that's in Mendon. Mendon has been categorized as a critical town, so we will not be having tea
Okay.
night out. Okay?
Sounds smart.
Any questions?
Thank you, Neely.
All right.
Thank you. Mine will be exceedingly shorter than Mrs. Urquhart's very detailed report, to the benefit of everybody this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So the middle school had a wonderful start to the year. Extraordinarily pleased with the performance of the staff, the students. I want to put a shout out to custodial staff, the school, that they worked diligently all summer, both outside and in. It just, I really think they don't get enough credit. But Mr. Pope, Jack, Dan, Jeff, Joe, guys, they top to bottom. They've really done a spectacular job, so I really appreciate that. Middle school opened this year with 309 students. In 6th grade, we have 84 students. In 7th grade, we have 106. And in 8th grade, we have 119, which categorizes it as being closed for school choice. But we'll continue to look at grades 6 and 7 and have further discussions around that. Again, I have reported about some new hires, but we don't have as many as some of the other people have talked about. But again, the STEM program is off and running. Miss Walker, who's done, if you talk about beginner's luck, she's showing it every day. But I actually think there's an incredible raw talent there and a will to bring the most out of the program. She's really done a phenomenal job right out of the gate. Again, she's joined by Miss Roshan Valapur, who's new 8th grade special education teacher for inclusion, and she's accompanied by a number of paraprofessionals that are new, Nancy Medawar, Stephanie Campbell, Damian Tibaldi, and our newest hire is Katie Hennigan, who we're all very, very fortunate with. We really lucked out with the talent that we have in our paraprofessional pool. If you remember last year, we came to you with our hat in hand begging for an extra $1. It had a significant impact on our ability to hire. It's still, we have to convince everybody and show them the future of what a great opportunity it is to work with a Douglas public school student. The money is still an issue, but it's a lot easier than it was. We still lost some people this summer because of it, and that's just, that's just how it is. But I can say to you that we have very talented people, and they wanted to be in something bigger than themselves and serving the common good, and being able to compensate them a little more fairly was very helpful. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Mr. Delaney.
That was very short. So Douglas High School, our enrollment is 372. That's 80 in the freshman class, 92 grade 10, 93 grade 11, and 107 in the seniors and the post-grad kids. Because DHS is such an awesome place to work, every single teacher came back, so our only new hire for professional staff was Annie DeWitt, who filled the new special ed position that we created by eliminating some paraprofessional positions. And we still had to hire 3 paras. We hired Matt Labossiere, who is he was a gym teacher and then went into professional sports like front office, including probably selling me group tickets to the Red Sox a few years ago. He worked for the Red Sox for a few years. Jacob Murphy, who is the JV soccer coach, and young lady Stacy Young, who starts next week in the STARS program, and 2 ABAs, Bethany Grenier and Tara Butler. And we promoted 2 paras to ABA positions, Brianna Novicki and Ashton Henry. The first year was great. We also had a few tears. I encourage teachers this year to do something engaging rather than doing like, this is my pencil sharpener policy and this is my, whatever policy. To do something to get students excited about the class or the content. And so most of the staff did. I saw a lot of like Two Truths and a Lie and subject matter bingo, and there was singing and dancing and art, and that was just in the Spanish classes, and that was great. We had a few challenges. Triple E is the big one that's been really putting some constraints on the sports, but we're getting through. We also had a film crew. An Italian documentary producer was hooked up with a family in town to do a documentary on how different countries support students with ADHD. And because it was the first week of school, we had very little chance for parents to sign that they didn't want their children filmed. So they ended up filming a lot of me and DESE and Mrs. Peck instead. And they got us some nice shots of DESE talking about bullying. So we'll all be famous on Swiss TV at some point in the future, I guess.
Awesome.
We're kind of glad to see them go, but they were actually very nice, and they listened when I told them to stop, and so that was good. We had some great things too. We've extended our collaborative instruction. We launched esports today. I didn't get a chance to see how many kids were there. We set them up a nice little place up in the library. It's pretty good. We set a possible DHS fire drill record, 2 minutes and 36 seconds to evacuate the building. The fire chief was very impressed, and we launched our full peer mentor program. I piloted one last year. This year, Jess Hurley and Lindsay Poulin are running one, a peer mentor program that matches up DHS students with students who are new to the district, regardless of whatever grade. If they're brand new to Douglas Public Schools, we've matched them up with a mentor. And then our open house is on next Thursday.
Great.
I have 2 questions.
Yes, please.
I'm not trying to make trouble, I'm just asking questions. First of all, there's a new policy, I guess, kids can walk around in backpacks.
We are piloting this new backpack thing, so we'll see.
Okay. I'm just wondering, again, I'm not suggesting, I'm just wondering, is there any thoughts or plans, like, to do backpack checks randomly? Has that even been discussed, or you don't?
Not really. I think you get into sort of constitutional issues there. You have to have a reason to search a kid.
You would have a.
Yeah, I think.
I'm just curious.
I think people would. Yeah.
It was a question that was asked me, so I figured I'd ask.
Yeah.
Second question, in regards to sports and kids playing sports outside, what is the policy on bug spray?
So the district cannot provide students with bug spray. It's essentially, it would sort of fall under the same thing as providing kids with Motrin or cough syrup or something like that. So we can't provide kids with bug spray. And I even checked like something with lemon eucalyptus or Skin So Soft or something like that. We remember from when we were kids. We can't provide anything with a chemical type thing, because I was like, I was thinking like, oh, we could get permethrin and we could spray the uniforms, and then we could, we'll give every coach a thing of bug spray. Well, you can't do that. It's like giving out Motrins. So our thing has been I encourage families to take the precautions that they need if they're coming to games, or if they're students or athletes to spray them down with bug spray, but we can't dispense it ourselves.
So I'm just wondering if there's like families that maybe can't afford bug spray. I'm just trying to think like realistically. Maybe they can't afford it. Maybe they don't have the means to get. I don't know. Whatever. Is there any way that people can get bug spray from other sources? Because I know they can't borrow it from students, is what I've been told. What else? What can we do? Can we donate? I don't know. I'm just trying to.
I think you could consider donating, if that were the case, but
I just feel like there's a liability, though, if a kid has a
having
reaction.
to give it out, so I think
We'd
we'd
be
still
doing it
be
to
in.
the school, and school will be distributing.
Yeah.
Or maybe through like the boosters or something like that. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I think
Go through,
it
like,
couldn't be
boosters?
us that hands it out, because if a kid has a bad reaction to it or something, we're
Okay.
the ones that
Just
gave
trying
it to
think if
the
there's any
kiddo.
other means, just in case.
I think it's something, if the teams can kind of work it out themselves. Every team now has a team parent. I don't want to say team mom, who's trying to organize things like coaches' gifts and the fundraisers and participation in things like Oktoberfest. So, I think if they could organize it among themselves, the parents have been able to organize some pretty impressive things as far as like getting kids to our co-ops and things like that. So,
All right.
It is a problem only because in the idea of sharing it with someone else, you don't know if another child has an allergy to it or otherwise. So, but if the kid has it in their bag before they go to practice and they spray themselves down, well, nobody's going to say anything to them because it's precautionary. So, and I even considered, can we contract and get our field spaces sprayed with, to kill the mosquitoes. But if you do that, you got to wait 5 days to use your facilities again. So we'd have to shut the facilities down for 5 days. That would be problematic as well. It is, it's creating a problem for everybody in the area. All the school districts in the area are facing the same thing. And I've been reaching out, and everybody's basically doing the same thing we're doing, dusk to dawn, and encouraging them to wear long sleeves and shirts. And most of the cross-country courses, as some of us would know, most of them are in the woods. And so we're not using ours at all. We're not letting anybody out in the trail at all, just because there's water and standing water and sunlight, so.
It's always dusk in there.
So that being said, we're trying to take as many precautions as we can, but as this continues, the whole state, well, the whole eastern Mass is on watch as to how bad it gets. If it gets worse, you may see games being canceled, you may see seasons being canceled, or portions of the season until we finally have a frost, which is not coming until, somebody said something about, what was the date somebody said?
October 1st through 10th is when it's,
There it is. So we've got a full month
Average.
before we're gonna see any frost, so. Yeah. That's the bug spray issue.
Yeah.
Any other questions for them?
Mr. Romano, anyone?
I can add a few other details just to share with you. Our school choice number for this year at this present time is 121 students. I don't know if you want it broken down by, I can break it down by building. So the elementary school has 29, the high school has 51. Oh, you probably already have it, right? So high school has 51, middle school has 30, and the primary school has 11 for a total of 121. And then the only other thing was that, just to refresh everybody's memory, back in June, we took a vote. We did in fact close, kindergarten was closed, pre-K, we don't do school choice, so kindergarten and pre-K. And then grade 1 is closed as well. Grade 2, we had it left open. I think we had room for 6, I believe it was, and I think we're still okay with that. Yep. We did close grade 3, we did close grade 4. Our proposal is to close grade 5. Grade 6, we still have some room, so we said no more than 6 more students in grade 6. We have closed 7 and 8. Correct? Did we close 7, or do we propose to close 7? I think we want to propose to close 7 as well, because it's at 106 now. So 8 is definitely closed, and the high school has flexibility in their numbers. So the thought is the 5th grade, and it looks like 7th grade are the 2 that we would like to consider closed, if that's amenable with you people. And I don't know whether we can vote or not. I mean, it is on the.
It is on the agenda.
Enrollment update is on there,
No,
so.
it is on the agenda.
Yeah,
So I don't think we're out of line.
from my experience, I would say I'd be open to entertaining a motion this evening, but if you guys think it's not appropriate, I'm fine with, waiting 2 weeks.
Yeah, it is on the
So it's-
agenda that we
Do
have.
you want to do that now, or do you want to wait until the consent? We can do it now, I think. So it'd be great
can
to
do it
close
now.
grade 5 and grade 7.
so I'll make a motion that we close grades 5 and 7 to school choice for the remainder of the year.
Second.
Motion from Kelly, and a second from Becky. Okay. Any other discussion? Questions or comments on that? Okay. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstained? Seeing none.
Thank you. And
to go.
I'll continue to update you throughout the course of the next couple of weeks if we have any additional numbers on school choice, and if there's any numbers that we need to close. Thank you. Thank you all.
So with that, we'll move to our subcommittee and subcommittee report. House report. So I think we're doing it in 2 parts.
Yeah, I believe. Where was I with? Becky signed 4 batches on 8/15/2019, totaling $76,005.78. And I signed 1, 2, 5 batches on 8/22/2019, totaling $63,259.50. That's it.
Little ones. Any questions on that? Anyone? Okay. That moves us to our consent agenda. The first item is our August 8th meeting minutes. There's quite a bit of financial data included in these meeting minutes, which think we'd like to give some more time to review and to make sure it's accurate. So I'm going to suggest that we table this one until next time. If no one has any objection to that?
A lot of numbers.
Yeah. So we'll tackle this one next time. We'll have a little more time to kind of review that and make sure it was captured properly. So then we have our August 14th meeting minutes. I did read through this one and did not see any issue with it. Did anyone else have any amendments they would like to suggest for this?
Can I just ask a question on it?
Sure.
Did we ever need to use the extra bus that was mentioned in here?
Did we use that?
No, we didn't have to send it out.
That was a good
Didn't end up
idea.
having to send it out. Well, it really was necessary to have it there, though, because, and I'll go over that later on in my report, but,
Thank you.
but it worked out.
Okay, so if there are no amendments for the August 14th minutes, we're looking for a motion to approve the August 14th, 2019 school committee meeting minutes.
So moved?
Second.
A motion from Kelly and a second from Becky.
Well, you set it up, so.
I'm
You
trying.
did, you
I'm
cheated.
trying to. Make it easy. All right, so any other discussion on that? Questions, comments? All those approved? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstained?
Abstain.
One abstain. Okay. That moves us to a couple items from the Douglas Elementary School. Mr. Bello?
Nope.
All right, which one am I starting with? Does it matter?
The furniture.
Furniture. All right, so this summer, we have a classroom that has kind of been like a PTO room / storage room / teacher workroom, and we tried to get that cleaned up because it's actually a space we need to use for working with kids. And in doing so, we found it's where we kind of store all of our extra furniture also. And as we were going through everything, we found 17 chairs, student chairs, and 1 desk that were broken, had just been placed in there. We've salvaged pieces off of them from here and there as we needed to repair different chairs. But at this point, there's not much other use we can have with them, so we're requesting that we can dispose them.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Bell on this item? Okay, if not, we're looking for a motion then.
I move to approve the disposal of 17 student chairs and 1 student desk at the elementary school that are broken and beyond repair and of no salvage value.
We have a motion from Lisa,
Second.
a second from Kelly. Any other discussion on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstained? Seeing none.
They were stored out by the doorway. They sort of like reminded me of the island of Misfit Toys. Familiar with it? When you walked in, it was like, oh, you
Yeah.
poor chair.
One leg in the chair. Yeah.
Mr. Pope will be very happy to have him out of there.
Excellent.
Next up, I have talking about our 4th and 5th grade instrumental music lessons. So last year, we added those in as a stipended position for our music teacher, and we had 64 students participate last year in 4th and 5th grade. It was about 50-50 with 4th and 5th graders. As we went through the year, we saw a significant decline in the number of students that were participating. One, due to the format, and another, the 4th graders are not really developmentally appropriate to be learning instruments for the most part. There are some instruments that are, but recorder, those types of things are appropriate. But teaching French horn and those types of things to 4th graders is not really developmentally appropriate. And so over the summer, Alden Encore, Justina, the middle school music teacher, and our new music teacher, David Moniz, got together. They talked about, what should our band program look like from kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade. And after some discussion with them, we're recommending just offering to 5th grade rather than to 4th grade, and also reducing the number of lessons from 7 per week to 5 per week. We can combine, I think it's saxophone and clarinet. They're both reed instruments, have similar fingerings. We can combine those into 1 lesson rather than 2 separate lessons, and not offering the French horn anymore. We didn't have that many students that were doing it anyway. and it's a more difficult instrument, was their feeling. So just doing the 5 lessons a week rather than the 7, and Mr. Moniz has already talked to our 5th graders as he's had them the first couple days and really tried to, because we need to recruit more students, because we only had 6 that were planning to do it from last year, from 4th grade up into 5th grade, which is kind of a disappointing number. I think he has about 20-25 students that he thinks are going to be interested in doing it, and some of it is kind of reselling it to our parents also, and because I think there was somewhat of a negative experience last year with the instrument lessons and just the way that they were done. And so we're going to try to rebrand it a little bit, get kids excited about it. We have an instrument try-it night coming up at the end of September. We'll get families to come in that can get some new students in, and hopefully we can continue to grow the program from year to year. The other part of this is right now we do 3rd grade does the recorders. We're suggesting that we moved up to 4th grade because, again, that's more developmentally appropriate for those students. Our 3rd graders, or our current 4th graders, did it last year as 3rd graders, but it's not something that they have mastered and they can continue to do as another unit in 4th grade, and it'll be good experience for them as well. So that's the recommendation. It is a cost savings because we'd be going from 7 days a week to 5 days a week where there's lessons going on. It's not a significant savings. I think it's $668, but otherwise there's no other financial impacts.
So as a parent of a 4th grader, I can't say I approve of all of this. I'll take a motion anyways, though.
One thing before you take a motion, I did have opportunity the last couple of days to talk with members of the DTA, because this is a change in the structure. It's the same position, but we would just be reducing it by basically a third. And so had opportunity to discuss with them, and Mr. Reardon is now the president of the union, so when I talked with him this morning, he was going to double check with Al Denonco to make sure that everything that John has just laid out there he's in compliance with. He understood it. He seems to think that it makes perfect sense. The reduction makes sense. It's the same position. We're just reducing it a little bit, so therefore we're reducing the stipend for it, and that seems to be fine. But at this point, we do not have formal documentation like we usually would have. So I would say that if you're going to go forward and make a motion, that it would be pending final documentation of approval by the Douglas Teachers Association as part of your motion, because we need them to approve it as well.
I have 2 questions. I seem to be having 2 questions lately. First, what's his name, Mr. Moniz?
Moniz,
Moniz.
yes.
Is he, so he's the teacher for?
He's our new elementary music teacher and primary music teacher. We will post the position. My guess is he will be our only person that applies to do the instrument lessons,
okay.
But it will be open to anybody in the district.
Okay. Now, does he do chorus too?
He does, yes.
We'll still do
In the
chorus.
we're not having any change to the chorus.
Chorus program will stay.
Last year, there were 7 days, so we have 5 days before school, 5 days after school where lessons could happen. 7 of those 10 opportunities were band, and 2 of them were for chorus. So 9 out of the 10 days there was before and after school lessons going on. So it'll go down a little bit, but there should be no change to the choral program.
Okay. I think that was both my questions.
Do you anticipate any 4th grade families being upset that their kids can't take lessons? And is there an opportunity for, if there's a couple of passionate 4th graders out there?
I'm open to suggestions on that. If the committee feels that would be a good avenue to go through, I think we could offer it. I think once we offer it to 1 or 2, we might have 25 or so that are interested. I also, and when I talked to Mr. Moniz about this also, if we end up with just those same 6 students participating for 5th grade, we'll have to relook at something also, because we want to still offer the program, and 6 students isn't really enough to have a band. One of the things that Mr. Moniz wants to do is once a month get an ensemble together, so rather, in addition to the lessons, having a group ensemble so they can practice as a band. That doesn't really work with 6 students. And so this is all anticipating that we have 20 to 25 students. If we don't get that kind of enrollment, we'll have to relook at it and say, do we need to open up to 4th grade, or what do we need to do to grow the program? But what we don't want to happen is to offer band to 4th and 5th grade, and we're killing kids in 4th grade, and then we have no program moving forward, which is kind of what happened last year. And that's why we kind of have looked at this and said, well, how do we make sure this is a positive? I do think that the way that Mr. Moniz, just in the first week that he's been in teaching classes, just general music classes, it's a very positive, fun atmosphere, which I think the kids will enjoy a little bit more than what they have in the past. And so hopefully we continue to grow the program with just that excitement in music, starting in primary school.
I've noticed it myself just in walking through the two buildings, that the kids are much more excited. Mr. Muniz does have 4 or 5 years of teaching experience at this level already. So he came to us from Fall River.
Yep.
Our sister school, Fall River, and us are almost exactly the same. He's ecstatic to be here. He's ecstatic to be here. But he does have that experience and that skill set. And we took a chance last year. It was really on the recommendation of the previous year's teacher that we try to do it in 4th grade. And as it turns out, it looks like it may not have been the best thing for us to have done. And so I think we'll be okay, and we'll figure out a solution if there are some people that have an interest.
Thank you.
So I guess 2 things. So I wasn't necessarily unhappy about the music program. It was the recorder that's already come out and it's been played nonstop for the last week already. So, but I would say you might want to consider a waiver for 4th graders if you have a student who's already been taking lessons in some instrument for whatever number of years or months, and they seem like they're again appropriately skilled at it, that they'd be able to continue in the program. But
We can definitely do that.
so okay. So how does the committee feel about making the motion tonight with the caveat that it still needs to be approved by the Douglas Teachers Association?
Approved, and that I will forward documentation. I'll bring documentation to the next meeting from the DTA.
We can either do that, or we can move it to the next meeting, I guess, but would that?
Yeah, I think we're okay to go ahead. I think we can, and I'm on board.
Just from our perspective, we want to get this program up and running as quick as we can, so I mean, if we need to wait, we can, but.
So I would just say, if you're going to make a motion, we've been provided language here, but you're just going to want to add on the additional piece there. All right.
I'll take it.
Keegan, as always, is right there for us.
I move to approve a reduction in the FY 2020 DES before after-school instrumental music stipend from $2,338 to $1,670, a reduction of $668 due to a reduction in the number of lessons from 7 to 5 per week and elimination of grade 4 lessons. This vote to take effect upon written approval from DTA.
Okay, excellent. We have a motion from Becky.
Second?
And a second from Julie. Okay. Any other discussion on this matter? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstained? Seeing none. Okay, thank you.
Could somebody refresh my memory, who made the motion and who seconded?
Becky made the motion and Julie seconded.
Thank you.
Next up, we have a couple items for Mr. Delaney.
Mr. Delaney. Out of state, cross country, and
Damage.
us best buddies.
Have we found a state that doesn't have triple E? Is that what we're going on a state?
We can only hope. It was not getting critical. So, again, the Best Buddies was a continuation of what we asked for last year. It was brought to us from, I don't know what it was, Best Buddies, where it came to us through a student that they wanted to be involved in the culture and community of our students with special needs. And this is something also that Tom Brady works with very closely. And it also has an opportunity to extend into the high school with the unified sports. So it's the beginning of something even bigger. But it's just a great idea that a student had that we want to run with. We need to create a student activity account for it. So we agreed on that last year. Now that we have the funding, we just want to kind of follow through to have an advisor so that when they do something, they want to do a field trip or even just projects or games right now, something that we can pull funds from to engage these students from all walks of life within our community. So it's a nice follow-up from something we started last year.
Mm-hmm.
And we approved the position. The only thing we didn't approve, because it was at the very end of the school year, if you recall, we had to wait for the DTA to approve the position, so the documentation is there, and we agreed on the same dollar amount as the high school's Best Buddies position as well.
Okay.
$701.
Any other questions, comments, thoughts on this item? Okay.
Could I just throw in, I think it's great. This was my first meeting that I sat in on with the student was, I don't remember her name.
Katie?
But she was,
Katie Huff?
Yeah, was
Yes.
it Katie? Yeah.
Yeah, just, I
She's
think about hiring her as a teacher.
you should. I was
She's
really
child labor
impressed.
law or something, I don't know, but really, really, again, a wonderful young lady, great student leader, great idea.
Yeah.
It had a lot of legs last year. Kids want to help, they want to be involved.
Yeah.
It's also an opportunity, again, it's career exploration. People that want to be in education, want to human services business.
Right.
It's just wonderful to see that the kids, in what is a very awkward time for a lot of kids, that they're not afraid to just follow their passions. And it's, unapologetically, and it's for all the right reasons.
Yeah.
It's great. It's just,
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite things to ask for in terms of it's easy. It's short money for great work.
Right. So I'll just put it out there. It's not a question. It's just an enthusiastic support
Excellent.
of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else?
I move to approve a stipend in the amount of $701, beginning with the 2019-2020 school year for the DMS Best Buddies Student Activity Advisor.
Excellent. We have a motion from Kelly,
Second?
second from Lisa. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstained? Seeing none. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next is the ask for permission to travel to Rhode Island to compete in an invitational that we have for a number of years. And I think our numbers in cross-country are up around a little north of 30. We're still picking up some kids here and there. I think, we went to a family ID rather than a blue card this year, so we, again, following suit with the high school, it's all online. That little shift threw some people off, but it's paying dividends in terms of ease and management, and again, just continuity with the high school. But very active. We are in the process, just back to the Triple E thing, that we are looking to, for our first home meet in 2 weeks, change our course. That's our plan B right now, to keep them out of the woods. So if anybody asks any questions around that, we're not running in the woods. And if we do have a meet in 2 weeks, it will be far, far away from Big Bad Woods. So with that being said, we're just asking for to compete once again, and I'm looking to score a little higher this year because we got some phenomenal talent that we're developing.
Great.
We've done this a million times, I think, Kelly. Ocean State Invitational. Since I've been here, we've done
Since
it.
Connor was in 7th grade, so yeah, it's been years.
We've been doing this for quite a long period of time. So, and it's on September 27th. So,
That is a Friday night, so that's the only thing is I could see, because I do know that there is Triple E in Rhode Island.
Okay.
So, and the middle school runs in the evening,
Okay.
afternoon into evening, so that would be my only thing is
yeah,
you may find
we'll
that
need
that
to
gets.
monitor that. Then you're right.
Cross your fingers.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments on this item? Looking for a motion then?
I move to approve the middle school out-of-state cross-country meet to North Kingstown, Rhode Island on Friday, September 27th, 2019.
Motion from Lisa,
Second.
second from Kelly. Any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstained? Seeing none. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lane.
Thank you for your continued support of the middle school.
Thank you.
Mr. Romano.
Really excited to have the Best Buddies program. I think the Special Olympics will benefit from it. It's going to be great. I'm really glad. In both buildings.
So mine's pretty simple. I have some computer tables that are pretty heavily damaged. The surface of them has lifted off and peeled away. I don't need them, and I can use the space. What I'll do is I'll free up space in the television production classroom where they can do some filming in there instead. So they're beyond repair. Just want to toss them.
And those are the computer tables, where the computer was there.
Yep.
It's underneath the glass, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and there are a number of them, and those have been there since we came here. And it's a Formica, so a lot of the Formica is chipped and
Yeah, these are ones where there's no surface to the top anymore. It's just the bare plywood. So they're the worst ones. We'll get rid of the worst ones, keep the good ones. So.
All right. Anyone opposed to that? Any discussion on this? You looking for a motion then?
I move to approve the disposal of 4 computer tables from DHS that are unusable and of no value.
Motion from Lisa, Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Becky. Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Seeing none. Okay. That takes care of our consent agenda. Which brings us to our school business and operations manager's report. Mrs. Keegan.
First, along the lines of everybody else talking about opening day, I do want to thank Jeff Collette, our facilities manager, and all the custodians. They did a fabulous job. And, you know, we really are still, we keep repeating ourselves about these things, but we really are short-staffed. And they really pull together. They go from building to building. They help each other out in all the buildings to get everything done, whether it be the grounds and inside the buildings as well. I did approve 2 Saturdays of overtime for those that could avail themselves of that, because it just was impossible, particularly the grounds. So 2 nice Saturdays, instead of off enjoying their family or whatever, they were here, you know, helping to get everything ready, you know, for the first day. Also, school lunch program, they did the opening day, prepared a breakfast for everyone for the opening day, and all of the school lunch program, all the cafeterias are running great, particularly at elementary school. It is wonderful how that, in fact, now that we look back and look at what was there, and then compare it to what we did with, as far as the grease.
So did you get up with a little bit of a
Into some
redesign with that, or? Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Instead of like a steel open.
Yeah,
function,
iron,
it's
yeah.
sealed, it's plastic.
Yeah.
It's easy access, and it just looks a whole lot nicer.
Oh, very sanitary. Also, before we had a kind of a steel, you know, thing that you could pull out and open up. Now we've got a wonderful floor over it. I mean, they did a great job. The staff, Dave Pope and others, did
Just
a
for
great
those that
job cleaning it up.
Don't
so.
know, we had an issue with our elementary
Wonderful.
school grease trap, I guess, is there a proper
Yeah,
term?
the intercept,
Right before
yeah.
school opened, so it's great that we were able to kind of respond to that and get a new one in there, and it sounds
it
like
by
it's
the-
better, so.
You know, right.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it
It was
is.
really close, but they
Yeah.
were able to get us open, and on the first day they served, and
Great.
haven't skipped a beat since then, and we were able to get it completely cleaned and ready to go before we started, and again, to
Yeah.
Courtney's
So,
point,
you know.
Jeff and the rest of the crew that went in there, Dave Pope and Jack and everybody else that was in there, it was great, and today we used the dishwasher, I believe, so we're full, and we were using styrofoam the first couple of days. We were trying to keep the dishwasher from being used because the floor had just been put down. So that worked out
Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
and or- thank heavens.
Yeah.
So now you're fully operational, that's
Yeah,
good.
we were very, very happy about that. And with regard to transportation, you know, as we did, you know, as we did bring to your attention earlier, we did have one bus on standby with a driver that's very familiar with the entire town, because we didn't know where they might have to go. We did actually have overcrowding on bus number 11, but that has worked out fine, and it has worked out fine because Telstone has, due to a kind of a fluky thing, their 35-passenger bus was actually out for repairs.
Thank
So
heavens.
they started off, yeah, really, I hate to put it that way, but yes. So they had to send a 47-passenger bus. Now, so we made it through those few days with a 47-passenger. We would not have made it through, and we would have had to send that bus up if we had the 35. So what has happened is, in order to keep from, if we brought back the 35, we would have overcrowding.
Yeah.
So he is actually has offered us a 47 at no additional charge.
Oh, good.
So that was a wonderful thing. I had to check with his
47
father.
is the full, is the regular full-size bus?
Oh, no, that'd be
Something in between.
71.
That's the
Because
71,
remember,
okay,
that's
yeah.
the area of town that at 35, the 47
what I
can
was
still
wondering.
make it.
Okay.
But the 71, you can't go up there
Okay.
because of the Hilltop Road and trying to get around. So that actually worked out great.
That's good.
And to be honest, we've never had 47, and even with this IFB I recently issued, did not have a 47 in there, because we've never needed one.
Okay.
It just happened to be, we're on a lucky, I didn't say that. I did not say that. Yeah, between that and this. So that worked out well. Bus number 2 in the elementary route was quite late the first few days. Telstone did make some adjustments, pushing it up, and I did check with the schools, and it's working out fine. Because the Plan B would have been sort of drastic. We would have had to move a whole bunch of kids from one to another and do some adjustments, so did not want to do that, and that seems to be going very well.
Okay.
And I think I mentioned to you the last meeting, just to let you know kind of the whole bus scenario, is that on one route, I can't remember which one it is, we had 11 kindergarten students
Oh, yeah.
that were on just one bus.
Yeah.
So you never know what can happen year to year, and that's why I bring that up. You just don't know.
Is that bad or good?
Well, it's slow.
Well, it's just that you don't know where all the kindergarten is going to be living. So
Oh.
we had 11 on one route, but it worked out.
Yeah,
We're
so if
okay.
if that route had
Again.
48 kids last year,
know,
and you
yeah.
add 11 to it this year.
You know, so we did, I'm sure you noticed what I posted on the website is not what we got from there's no way that we could post what we received from the company, for a number of reasons. So I actually had to sit down with the Telstone manager, and we spent, I don't know if it was a total of 8 hours kind of redoing everything, stops and everything. And we didn't want to post anything either that had, because I already got many phone calls, as I do every year. I would have gotten 40,000 phone calls if we said 1 minute in between, and we weren't going to do that either.
yeah.
So it would be nice if in the future that we'd like to try to provide that information. It's never been done in the past. It's something I
Yeah.
did think of, that if we could, to the extent possible,
Yeah.
with a caveat and understand and put there that, please, this is just, but the first few days, an adjustment needs to be made.
You know what the kids do? They
You
do
just don't know.
Snapchat now, so they know where people are on the buses.
Oh,
so you could
probably.
always,
See, I wouldn't even know about that.
you could have that actually on the bus. They could have a connection with the driver.
But I do want to thank Telstone, our bus transportation company, and I want to thank the new manager that works with me directly, Jessica Brulette. She did a wonderful job, spent a lot of extra hours working with me to redo and look at the stops and things of that nature. And as you saw, I first posted it and had to kind of put up another one, an update. And, but, it's going well. We'll see what winter brings. Because as you know, see, part of the thing, just for an understanding standpoint, so as you know, we have students who are eligible for bus transportation. So when myself and Telstone Planning, we have to put down all eligible. You don't know what's going to happen, because as you know, as parents, you have a right to drive your child to school or pick them up, even though you're eligible for transportation. We have to have a seat available. So that bus 11, we were really wondering, and we really did think we would have to send out the bus, but it did work out. So in the 47 passenger bus is going to solve the problem, and I think through the year. Okay. We'll see what happens. Things can change, but right now we're doing very well, and we're very pleased, just all around. I think district-wide, everything's seemed to go very well. There's no wood to knock on. I've got to stop saying that.
Are you able
You
to
know.
actually get a parent to say, because there are parents that will never let their child on the school bus. Nothing in the world will let their child on the bus. Is there something that you could ever get from parents saying that my child will never take the bus? Just so
No,
we know?
because, there's no such thing as never in life.
Right.
Things change for families, as you know, or all of us.
And we are
as,
obligated,
adults
so-
with children, things can change, jobs can change, situations can change. And if tomorrow, say you were that parent, and you signed something, and a week from now, something changes with job, or a disaster happens in your family or something, or whatever, and you call me up the next day and say, I need the transportation, we have to provide it.
Yeah.
That's a fact, so, yeah. But, I'm glad everything, is going well right now, so.
It sounds like everything is just smooth, but I was wondering, with the reduction in the bus route, have we seen any increase in traffic with drop-offs and pickups that's concerning, or is that all moving smoothly enough?
I haven't seen anything
so
yet,
we
not
had-
really different.
We had some trouble not at the elementary school, but that was really because people were just not,
Following the
Behaving.
rules.
Yeah, okay.
the sign says no parking, so sometimes people think that means I can park here.
Park.
Right. Just like that. I parked out back with, so that was the only problem we really had, was some people, and we've went out, we brainstormed with John and Matt Aronian and Jeff Collette, and we've come up with a plan, and the last 2 days have been much better, and for drop-off and pick-up at the elementary school. No problems at the primary school?
No, we had Officer Brett the first couple of mornings just stand up there, and he said it went really smooth.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, so it's been pretty good, but
Yeah, we've got to find some wood.
knock on wood on this stuff. So,
Yeah, so
So-
I just want to thank Ms. Keegan for all the
Yeah.
work she did on our bus
Yeah.
routes this year. I know the contract process was a bit of a headache in the spring, and I'm glad to know that it's kind of working out now, and just, thank you for everything that you did back then and all the way through getting us going now. So thank
I
you.
appreciate that. And I think, and of course, again, vendors can be, if you have an excellent vendor, whether it be our HVAC or whatever, you want to have a good relationship, and having that good relationship with a good vendor also helps out with situations like this, as far as just, increasing a bus size to alleviate a problem. They could have made us have to go out and buy another bus, which is around 70,000. So, or other things could have come into play as well. And, the timing, we are still going to watch the timing. I mean, we have not, because I should stop saying this, and there's no wood in the area. We haven't received any phone calls yet about the length of time. So I'm hoping that, phone calls I did get, not everybody got their own way. I get a lot of phone calls about, stops and this and that. We had a couple that, but most of them, were just very, very appreciative and understanding, and not everybody got their way, but they were still appreciative and understanding, so I appreciate that as well, so. And that's all I have, and I don't have any transfers or reclass, I still haven't had the time to get to that yet, but next meeting.
Okay.
Next meeting.
Okay. Topics not anticipated?
Could I jump in?
Sure.
I got an email this afternoon.
Okay.
I wanted to share with the committee. The Department of Elementary and Secondary Education fiscal year 20 budget appropriation includes an earmark for Douglas Public School District designated as follows, quote, provide further that not less than $45,000 shall be expended for technology upgrades for the Douglas School District in the town of Douglas. So the $45,000, I talked with Senator Fat Man's representative a couple of times today. Ms. Keegan and Ms. Souza are going to work on the grant and get that money going and be on the way of getting those one-to-one Chromebooks for the middle school.
That's great.
So hopefully sooner rather than later.
That's great. And I heard the ones that we approved out of our school choice budget have already, some of
shut
them
up.
are already.
Yep, yesterday, I think. Yep. So this
Stuff.
I was just waiting for somebody to confirm.
Yeah.
40, because he was hemming and hawing a little bit. I said, we are getting the 45,000, right? Oh, yeah, you're gonna get the 45,000. Okay, that's,
It's the state. There's some hoops you gotta jump through there.
so they do have some hoops to jump through with the grant. It looks like it's a little bit of a challenge, but they'll get it done.
Well, hopefully it still comes through.
What should we
So, no other topics unanticipated?
Can I ask about that the practice for cross-country?
Yes. Yeah, you want to come up and ask that question?
It's just a practice now, it's not.
That came up this afternoon also.
My foot's asleep.
I was like, I don't think you were limping earlier.
Oh, yeah, I was wondering, he's walking
That wasn't on TV, was it? So with the elevation to the triple E threat, my cross-country coach, Jeff Thayer, came to me today and asked if it would be possible for him to have practice this weekend in Thompson, Connecticut. It's a course that they've run before. He and I called down to the town hall there or something to see what their triple E threat was. They're not under any kind of warning or watch or anything right now, he said. The town hall said. I don't know. It would be in the morning.
Mosquitoes like Massachusetts.
So the issue is that
They'd be going out of
going out of
state.
state. So,
Are
I mean,
they
given that it's an emergency.
It would
under
be
the-
parents or students driving themselves.
Yeah.
So it is essentially that they're choosing to meet there instead of in Douglas or in, usually this time of year, they're running the course at
The only,
BMR,
Wait, you said on the weekend?
Saturday.
That, wouldn't they normally get to a practice by
Yeah.
a car anyway?
It's just the out-of-state portion that needs.
Yeah, it really is just the out-of-state portion.
Yep,
And again-
because they are going, the nexus of what they're doing is going to run as a
Can
team
we-
for Douglas,
Can we
so.
do some kind of emergency thing?
Yeah, I'm fine taking that as a topic not anticipated, given kind of the fluid nature of all of this, and look for a motion to approve the Douglas High School cross-country team attending a cross-country practice in Thompson, Connecticut.
So moved.
I have a motion from Becky and a second from Julie. Any other discussion on the matter?
Could we just get
Yeah.
definitive confirmation that there is no triple E concern there as
Yep.
well? Because if there is, what's the sense of going down there?
Well, that's what I told
Right.
Jeff, like, when we hung up with this person at the town hall there, I said, well, we'll call again on Friday and make sure that they're still good to go.
You want to check with the Board of Health, the Board of Health there?
Right.
Right, the Board of Health, yeah.
And it may be that course is not in the woods the way ours is.
It could be. I don't know that course. I don't know if you've ever been down.
I have no idea.
No.
No.
So the motion would be provided that And there is no.
I would put that caveat there, yeah, as long as there's no.
So if you deem it appropriate, the motion would be to allow you to, have a practice in Thompson, Connecticut. And we already have a motion from Becky and a second from Julie on that matter. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstained? Seeing none.
Thank you so much.
Okay. It's a time to recover. Do we need executive session this evening, Mr. Maines? I don't believe we've discussed that, so we're all set there. Okay, with that, I'd be looking for a motion to adjourn at 8:05, 8:04, what do we got? 8:04 PM.
Motion to adjourn?
Yes. Anyone?
Oh, I moved it.
Oh, okay. I have a motion
Second.
and a second. Motion from Julie and a second from Becky. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstained? Seeing none. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Welcome
Thank
back.
you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.